this bathroom, and there's a lock on the outside, right? So when you close the door, it locks you in. From the outside. You have no way of getting out. And it's not on the meds. That's weird.
It is.
That's weird. On the meds. On the meds.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scary and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. I just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man, commenting down below, and most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video I drop. You guys are helping growing the community. I greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
Time, or else this could happen to you. One Friday, a man came home from work and tried to turn on his lights only to see that the power was out. He called his roommate, who said he had just paid the bill now and it should be on in a couple hours. The man was pretty upset, but he decided, I'm just gonna go to my friend's house. But by the time he got back, his phone battery was dead. The power was still off in his apartment, so he just said, I'm gonna brush my teeth and then head to sleep. So the man picks up his toothbrush, and that's when he heard the door creak behind him. His apartment was still pitch black, so he started feeling around for a flashlight, and that's when he grabbed something that felt like a human head of hair. So the man pushed whatever was there aside, ran into his washroom, and locked the door. He managed to light a candle in his washroom, and that's when he saw something in his shower. This huge, horrifying creature rips open his shower curtain and says, "What you gonna do?" The man then sprinted out of his apartment, only to see 7 other people creepily smiling at him, and decided he'll just sleep in his car tonight.
Pay your light bill, bro. More of the story.
Here's some crazy history you definitely did not learn in school. The reason hurricanes have human names started off as a joke. A meteorologist named them after politicians he didn't like, so he could say they were causing great distress and wandering aimlessly. William Clark had a spelling problem. In the Lewis and Clark journals, he spelled Sue 27 different ways. The Great Fire of London officially recorded just 6 deaths despite destroying most of the city. Historians believe the real toll was much higher than that. Iceland's tallest tree is only 99 feet tall because forests struggle to grow in Iceland's volcanic soil. A mysterious carpenter built the Loretto Chapel spiral staircase alone with simple hand tools, then disappeared without collecting any money for it. Galileo spotted Neptune 234 years before it was actually discovered, but he mistaked it for a star. A blind amateur historian wrote a history of the Ming Dynasty in 1660 that was so revealing that it led to over 70 executions and thousands of arrests. A British pilot in World War II flew a burning aircraft 500 miles back to base using flasks of tea to keep the flames down. A 1960s chatbot tricked users into thinking it was a real therapist, and in 2023 it outperformed GPT 3.5 in a Turing test. Britain banned Christmas in 1647. This sparked rebellious celebrations, riots, and even 40 deaths. A nobleman in 17th century Naples fought 20 duels over Dante's superiority as a poet, then admitted he never read any of his work.
The scariest haunted house
Wow,
in the world
for the letter
is
of the game.
Manor, and now it has multiple locations, but it began in San Diego, California, in Russ McKamey's own home. If you can get all the way through the house, you'll get $20,000, but nobody has ever finished it. But before you can even think of going, you have to be 21 years old, complete a sports physical, pass a drug test, provide proof of medical insurance, be screened via phone, and sign a 40-page waiver. You also have to watch a 2-hour video called "And Then There Were None," which features footage of visitors quitting before the end of the experience. The only way visitors can leave is by uttering the phrase, "You really don't want to do this." And all that sounds like it would scare people away, but there's currently a waiting list of over 24,000 people.
Would y'all do that, seekers, for 20 grand? But I've been hearing some weird stuff be going on down in those haunted houses, so I ain't with it.
Facts about being drunk. 0.7% of the world is drunk at any given time. That's about 55 million people. Up to 30% of people are hangover resistant. Belarus consumes the most alcohol worldwide. Estimates say hangovers cost $148 billion annually.
Oh, so there's gas
Damn.
station. close the door, it locks you in. From the outside. You have no way of getting out. And it's not on the men's. Tell me that's not fucking weird. That's weird.
It is.
That's weird. On the men's. Only on the men's. Not on the men's.
You guys just saw for yourself how sketchy this is. Imagine being a woman and you stop at the gas station in the middle of the night to use a restroom, and then there's someone waiting in the stall, and then the door gets locked from the outside. Whatever happens to you after that, no one would know, and you're locked in. There's no way out. People have been linking this to sex trafficking, and the police have been called to further investigate, because even if there's a reasonable explanation as to why the woman's bathroom has a lock on the outside, why is it only the women's restroom and not the men's? Just so you know, this happened at this gas station in Bryan, Texas, and because this video went viral, they have since removed the lock. There is so much evil in this world, and one thing that I learned is that you could never be too safe. So women especially, you have to be very aware of your surroundings wherever you go. And it's so sad that we still have to say this, but it's just a reality that we live in.
This is the living room of a woman who literally melted into her couch after her parents left her in that same exact spot for 10 years straight without the proper care, love, food, or any medical attention. This is Lacey Fletcher. She grew up living a pretty normal life, but she did have severe autism, so her parents say that it was challenging for her to socialize with other kids. But around the time that she was supposed to graduate high school, people just stopped seeing her. The people around her and her neighbors didn't worry because she was never reported missing, and they would still see her parents regularly who seemed unbothered, and they probably just assumed that she went off to college. But later on, Lacey was literally discovered melted into the family couch. And Lacey's parents even blamed her, saying that she stopped caring for herself and stopped doing the things that she needed to do, even though they were her primary caregivers and didn't even have a nurse at home for her. Fire and paramedics that arrived said that it was one of the worst cases they have ever seen, and said that she was literally glued to the fabric of the furniture. And her parents, who were mostly unbothered and making excuses for their actions, were both only sentenced to 20 years in prison. Rest in peace to Lacey Fletcher, and as always, I'll keep you guys updated.
Just 20? Well, she really melted into the couch. And they try to blame it on her, man. People, they do not want to take responsibility. It's a damn shame.
This is why you should never record yourself sleeping. In 2010, there was a man named Nigel who was a single father with a young son. However, his child would scream every single night at exactly the same time. It was not your typical scream from a baby. It was like it was seeing something terrifying. So one night, Nigel set up a camera in his room and the baby's room to see if anything unusual happened. He thought maybe he was sleepwalking in the night, which was what was waking the baby up. So Nigel went to sleep that night like he did every other night, and woke up, of course, at around the same time to the baby screaming. But went straight back to bed and said he'd check the camera in the morning. In the morning, he went and checked the camera, and it was not pretty. At 3 a.m, he saw his door swing wide open, and saw a creepy, shadowy figure standing at the end of his hallway. He then checked the baby monitor, and of course the baby was screaming, and he then saw a dark figure standing over the cot.
Here are some world records that you could beat today. Now, the most saltine crackers that were eaten in 1 minute is 12. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but I forgot to tell you, you're not allowed to have water. So that makes it a little more challenging. And the fastest time that somebody spelled the alphabet out of alphabet soup is 2 minutes and 8 seconds. I don't know why, but I feel like I could do this faster. Now, the world record for the most selfies taken in 3 minutes is 184, and no, Kim Kardashian does not hold this record. The current record holder did in 2023.
Okay, here's some...
Could you beat those records, Seekers? I definitely could. I think I could beat the Saltine Man with ease. They said 12 without no water, man. That's light work. I can do that. Comment down below, man, what challenge you think you could break.
Conspiracy theories you don't know but you have to know about. Seriously, you might want to stick around for the next 30 seconds. So yeah, let's start with whatever the fact this is. Since 2011, there has been hundreds of reports of flying figures in the city of Chicago. These pictures have been confirmed real and no one has any idea what they are. Cookie fucking terrifying. Let's clear this up right now. This is not some giant fucking seagull or some shit, okay? This is Lucifer 2021. We're all doomed. Okay, for this next one, I'm going to need you guys to look in a mirror and tell me which one of these resembles your eyes. Because, my friends, dependent on your answer will tell me if you are cursed or not. Yep, now I've got your attention. It's a Japanese theory known as sampuku eyes. Basically, the abnormal amount of whites in either the top or bottom of your eyes. The middle one is a normal eye, but it is said that anyone with sampuku eyes is in for a tragic destiny. If you have whites at the bottom of your eyes, that basically means something on the outside world is out to get you. And this means basically something on the inside world is out to get you. Let me know which one of these you have, or tag someone with one of these eyes.
I don't know which eyes I got, bro. And I ain't playing that game. I don't even want to do. That game sound cursed to me.
Genius people who beat the system, part 3. A girls' college had a rule that said you can't have carved pumpkins in your dorm room. But the rule didn't say anything about pineapples, so she went ahead and carved one of those. This guy's new job required a photo of him in a suit for their website. But since he doesn't own a suit, he just photoshopped his face over this guy's face, and honestly, it looks pretty real. This sign says no bicycle riding, rollerblading, roller skating, skateboarding, or scooter riding, but it doesn't say no unicycling. These signs say that if you park on this side, you have to pay for parking, and if you park on the other side, you will get towed. So this guy parked in between both of the signs, so he doesn't have to do either. That's pure genius. A guy posted this photo online and said whenever he parks illegally, he puts a fake ticket on his windshield so the cops won't give him a real one. That's pretty creative.
Does that work though? I feel like they just put another ticket on
This
it.
is why you should be scared of driving on dark roads at night. TikTok user Special122 said that him and his brother were making a trip from Utah to California. They were driving through the salt flats in the dead of the night when all of a sudden they looked out the window and saw a flying dark black humanoid creature. It was bird-like in form, but its legs were more like those of a human. It had glowing red eyes that stood out like nothing they had ever seen before. The scariest thing about it, though, was that it matched the speed of their car exactly and was flying only about 6 feet from the windshield, staring at them. This went on for about 1.5 miles until the creature abruptly flew away.
What the hell's the Mothman, bro? That's what they
An
saw.
update on the model in Dubai that was found on the side of the road with her spine and limbs broken near a construction site. Ukrainian authorities have now launched a sex trafficking probe into Dubai, trying to figure out if she was sex trafficked. That's what they believe happened to her so far. She was there for modeling. She's an OF model, so they believe that the two men kind of coerced her to come there so they could traffic her. Dubai police are saying her injuries are a result of a fall from the construction site. Maybe the men took her up there and then pushed her off. Maybe it's not true. Maybe it's a cover-up. Last time I talked about her a week or two ago, she underwent 3 operations to save her life. She just went under a 4th one, and she's now in stable condition instead of critical condition. A lot of people thought she was at a porta potty event. For those that don't know what that is, buckle up when I tell you this. A porta potty event is when IG influencers get invited to Dubai to undergo basically like humiliation. Wealthy men basically will buy out somebody to humiliate them. They'll do whatever. It's really disgusting. That made headlines about a year ago. That's not confirmed if she was at that kind of event or not, but it is speculated. No suspects have been identified right now, but I will keep you guys updated as the probe and investigation continues. What are your opinions on this story?
Facts about
That's what happens when you have too much money, man. A porta potty event where people just buy you out just to do whatever they want with you. Money, man. It makes people do some weird and crazy things.
people with brown eyes. Brown eyes can prevent eye cancer due to melanin. Brown eyes are the most common type of eye color. People with brown eyes have faster reaction times. All eyes are actually brown underneath. The color we see is just due to the amount of melanin in the iris.
According to the
Really?
FBI, if you answer this riddle correctly, you may be a psychopath. Good luck. A girl was at her mother's funeral who died unexpectedly, but there was a guy at the funeral who she'd never seen before, and they instantly got on. The woman went off talking to her family and friends at the funeral and forgot to get the unknown man's number. After the funeral, she tried to track down who this man was and why he was there, but no one knew him or any of his contact details. But then a few days later, her little sister was found dead. The police suspect it to be a murder, but the question is, who did it and why did they do it? Let me know in the comments below if you get the answer.
Creepy facts
Yeah, I saw that.
disturb you. The Mutter Museum, various mutations, tumors, and anomalies of the human anatomy. In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the Mutter Museum showcases preserved internal organs, models, and equipment for biomedical research and education. The creepy stuff displayed is disturbingly informative, as their poster says. Your coffee mug probably has fecal matter on it. Scientists have discovered that 90% of coffee mugs are covered in germs. The culprit? Shared kitchen sponges, especially in offices. 20% of these coffee mugs test positive for E. coli. Charles II watched William of Orange consummate his marriage. King Charles II was the uncle of William of Orange. He married his niece to the prince, and historians say that he watched over the two of them during their wedding night. Women in the 18th century used to use lead as makeup, including Queen Elizabeth I.
You know that is very bad. Well, it can lead to some very dangerous side effects. The beauty standards back then.
This has to be one of the most disturbing magazine articles that I've ever read in my life. Trigger warning, what I'm about to go over is incredibly graphic and disturbing. Brooke Shields is a very famous American actress, and she really rose to fame in the late 1960s and 70s. And that was because Hollywood producers gave her a number of high-profile roles in films where she was asked to go completely nude. And I'm talking fully nude with full glam on as a 10, 11-year-old. So this issue of High Times magazine was published in February of 1978. Brooke at the time would have been about 13 years old. And here's the article in question itself. I'm just going to read you some of these quotes. The most perfect nymphet in creation has been found in America. Her name is Brooke Shields. She's a sultry mix of all-American virgin and innocent whore. She's the hottest new young thing in movies, destined to be the sex symbol of 1964. Here they talk about a role she played in a film and say she's a female child raised on a diet of cock money. And down there, Brooke is devastating as a little lady who fucks and sucks for bucks. Also, they print that quote really big here, and she's in a picture with a known pedophile, Woody Allen. They also said Brooke's looks have been her business all her young life, extraordinarily beautiful even as an infant. She's been playing the prepubescent vamp since she was 8. At that tender age, she dropped her Carters for a photographer and posed nude. Producers literally held their breaths, waiting for the remarkable Brooke Shields to reach a reasonable age of fuckability. Not yet legal, but oh so sweet. Welcome to the end of innocence, Brookie. So, if this isn't the most disturbing thing that you've ever read, something is definitely wrong with you. They're talking about a very young Brooke Shields here. Like I said, she was only 13 years old at the time. And in these films and in these photos that they're talking about in this article, she was only 11, 10 years old. I cannot believe that this was published in a nationally known magazine like the High Times, and that nobody got in trouble for this. In my opinion, we should retroactively go back in time and arrest these people for publishing things like this about her. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me. I mean, I can't even believe that this is real. Now, obviously, I know that there are going to be some people who comment on this video and say, oh, times used to be different. You know, child pornography technically wasn't a problem and wasn't made illegal, blah, blah, blah. And to people who say that, honestly, fuck off. Because there is no excuse for an article like this to ever have been not only written, but then published. I can't imagine what this had to have been like being Brooke Shields if she ever read this at that age. Thankfully, though, Brooke did get out of the system and managed to live a happy life, but she has done a number of interviews and talked about this before, saying how much stuff like this really messed her up. And not only does Hollywood owe Brooke Shields an apology, I personally feel that some of these people should be investigated to this day. Clearly, at minimum, the guy who wrote that article about Brooke.
This janitor urinated in the water bottles of women, giving them a disease. Lucio Diaz worked as a janitor, and he would clean different buildings in Houston, Texas. In August of 2022, a woman who was working at a doctor's office in one of those buildings reported a foul smell in the employee water dispenser, and because of that, she started bringing her own bottled water. That next month in September, that woman noticed the same foul smell, but now in her own water bottle, and she said it smelled a lot like urine. She then decides to install a spy camera, and this captures Lucio, the janitor, urinating inside the employee water dispenser and her water bottle.
Wow.
That camera catches Lucio uncapping the water bottle on the woman's desk, unzips his pants, and then puts his private part inside of the water bottle. Once he was finished urinating inside of the water bottle, he recapped the bottle and then put it back onto her desk. This footage showed him repeating the vile act twice over a few days. 3 women who had drank water from the dispenser learned through testing that they had gotten incurable STD from the water. Once Lucio was questioned by police, he did tell them that he did urinate in the water and that he had a sickness. Once he was arrested, about 9 more women came forward that they drank that same water and tested positive for that same STD. In March of this year, Lucio pled guilty and was given a 6-year prison sentence.
Just 6 years? Hell no, bro. Hey man, do not drink at the water dispensary. I guess that's your job.
Okay, major breaking news. Donald Trump has just single-handedly crashed the global stock market. So the US market literally just opened after the weekend of being closed, and in the first few moments, All of the major indexes fell yet again, between 3 and 4%. That brings the S&P's 3-day losses to around 13%. That's the biggest drop since the financial crisis of 2008. China's stock market, well, they suffered their worst single-day crash since 2008 as well. Hong Kong's stock market, they suffered their steepest single-day decline in nearly 3 decades. Taiwan had their biggest one-day drop in their history, flat out. Japan, they had to literally halt trading. Italy is down, Saudi is down, Germany is down, France, the UK, India, Australia, name a country, they are probably down. I mean, Russia, freaking Russia, they didn't get hit with tariffs, yet they're down as well. And that's just Monday. So Donald Trump, seeing all the panic, all of the, it's a bloodbath out here, he said, do not panic. He said the United States has a chance to do something that should have been done decades ago. Be strong, courageous, and patience, and greatness will be the result. As things develop, and they will bloody develop, I'll keep you guys updated.
Let's talk about
guys think about the stock market
water again, because I feel like traumatizing myself. Okay, let's go. So I saw this on Reddit, and it is a giant Spinosaurus animatronic that used to move, but it was part of this dinosaur experience where there was a whole bunch of other dinosaurs in Leeds in England, and this one, they just left it behind. They just left it in the water, and it's slowly sinking, by the way. Look at its foot in the water. Slowly sinking into that water, just completely abandoned there, just for anyone to go see. I don't know how long ago this was, but if I was walking past and I saw this and I saw that it was slowly sinking, end of living operations. Jurassic Park 3 is my favorite Jurassic Park movie, okay? Don't at me, but the Spinosaurus, look how big this animatronic is on this, and look how big it is in comparison to the humans. Look how big it is in comparison to bro. Is that Steven Spielberg? Looks like it. Do you remember when you were a kid and you would jump out of the water pretending to be Ariel from The Little Mermaid? That's what this one looks like right now. It's not a Spinosaurus, but this is funny. And the tail of the Stegosaurus on the Jurassic Park ride. Dinosaurs shouldn't be in water, bro, especially the animatronics. Just nightmare fuel, but also really cool. How do y'all feel about dinosaurs and dinosaur animatronics and Psychopath?
Morbid facts. Part 577. On a cold winter night in 1977, 48-year-old Teresita Basso was found brutally murdered in her Chicago apartment. Her body had been left naked under a burning mattress with a knife still embedded in her chest. The case quickly went cold with no suspects and no apparent motive, until months later when police received a chilling phone call. A local man claimed that his wife, who had worked with Teresita, began channeling messages from Teresita's ghost during trance-like states. During these eerie episodes, the woman would apparently speak in Teresita's voice, identifying her killer as a man named Alan Showery. Even more disturbingly, the alleged spirit named stolen items that were taken from her apartment, including specific pieces of jewelry that Showery had stolen from her. As absurd as it sounded, police followed these clues, and shockingly, they all checked out. Showery was arrested and eventually confessed, making this one of the most bizarre criminal cases in modern history.
Telling me she really channeled her spirit and they caught the killer like that? That's be one of the first, I guess, cases, man. Caught off possession.
This is insane. Scientists have just shocked the world after releasing a video where you can hear the first direwolf howl in 10,000 years.
Whoa.
The Times just wrote an article about it and described it as the return of the direwolf. Now, if you didn't already know, direwolves once roamed the Americas from Canada all the way down to Venezuela. But about 10,000 years ago, they vanished, going extinct along with other giant Ice Age animals like the mammoth. But their bones stayed behind. And fast forward to 2025, scientists at Colossal Biosciences recently discovered ancient DNA inside fossils that dated all the way back from 11,000 to 72,000 years old. Then, using that DNA that they discovered, they managed to decode the direwolf's entire genetic blueprint. I mean, here is where things get wild. They took ordinary DNA from a gray wolf and then edited it gene by gene to perfectly match the ancient direwolf's genetic code. Then, using domestic dogs as surrogate mothers, Romulus and Remus were born in October. Colossal claim that they are the first de-extinct animals ever. And at just 6 months old, they're already 4 feet long, weigh 80 pounds. And what's crazier is that instead of being really friendly and cuddly, the Times report that they're kind of cold, cautious, and avoid humans entirely. They even avoid the people who raised them and bottle-fed them from birth. Colossal posted about this achievement on X, saying, "This moment marks not just a milestone for us as a company, but also a leap forward for science, conservation, and humanity." They said they're aiming to revolutionize endangered species by mastering genetic technology. And if successful, not only could we hold on to our current species from going extinct, but maybe even bring back the ones lost to the past.
No.
However, not everyone is celebrating. Some say calling this de-extinction is disingenuous, arguing that they are only grey wolves with 20 edited genes to mimic direwolf traits. And others warn that this kind of genetic meddling could lead to catastrophic consequences.
Facts.
But what do you think? Is this an amazing scientific breakthrough that should continue to be pursued? Or are we messing with things far beyond our control, risking consequences that we can't possibly predict?
If I told you...
Like, see, on one hand, it's cool, you know, that they're bringing back, you know, I guess the direwolf and extinct species. But on the other hand, bro, you know how people get, they just want to push their boundaries, man. That's literally like the plot of Jurassic Park, man. It's literally right there in front of our faces. And we got the direwolves before the ones of winter. I had to say it.
Your mother was in the courtroom here today. Would that be the truth?
No, so.
Where is your mother?
Jail.
The 7-year-old who went viral in 2008 for testifying against his own mother has finally broken his silence after 17 years.
Would you tell us your name?
Andrew Hutto.
Andrew Hutto, who is now 24 years old, has shared his verdict on his mother's case, 17 years after she was found guilty of murdering his 7-year-old sister, Adriana Hutto, in their pool.
Who is this, or what is this?
My mama.
And what is she doing?
Killing my sister.
100% guilty, he recalled. I stand by every word I said. I don't believe I was what they've called coached or anything like that. I just told them exactly what I saw, word for word.
But who he does little days.
Who is this?
My mother.
And who is this?
My sister.
What?
She died.
Despite his painful past, Andrew, known as AJ, now a firefighter, has no contact with his 45-year-old mother and wants to keep it that way.
Was your mommy crying?
Yes, sir.
Looking back, AJ reflects, it was heartbreaking. She's my mother, but there was also relief that it was finally coming to an end. AJ was adopted by a Christian couple and spoke fondly of them. It was good. It was a lot better. Good Christian family. There was love. A happier household.
When is the last time that you saw your mother? Do you remember?
No, sir.
My childhood with Amanda it was almost a 360 difference. Completely different. Just darkness, trauma, a lot of abuse. Both Adriana and I were hit. The difference between the two families was night and day.
Talk about one of the scariest urban legends that actually turned out to be true. In the 1970s in Long Beach, California, there was an amusement park called the Pike Amusement, and inside this park was this creepy little fun house called Life in the Dark.
Okay.
Inside of Life in the Dark were a bunch of mannequins, and this urban legend started circulating around that all of them were fake except one. There was just something about this mannequin that turned people away. They said he was a little too human, and they even said that the area around it was just stanky. So flashing forward to a few years later, a TV crew comes in to film The $6 Million Man, and they decide to use Laugh in the Dark as one of their sets. So the director's trying to get the perfect shot, and this one mannequin that's been in question is in the shot, but he's just not liking how it's looking with it in it. So he asked one of the crew members to move it. So this crew member goes over, and when he tries to move the mannequin, its arm falls off. Inside is human bone. It's actually a mummified body. The body belonged to Elmer McCurdy, who was dubbed the bandit who wouldn't give up. He was an outlaw who was robbing a train in Oklahoma in 1911 when he was taken out by the police. His body was on display at an Oklahoma funeral home, but ownership changed and he got shifted around and around and around until he finally ended up at the Pike Amusement, and everyone thought he was fake until he was finally positively ID'd in 1976.
This is why you
That's
should never
insane.
read someone else's diary. Once there was a girl named Samantha who took her friends to her dad's lake house because her dad grew up in the area and actually named the lake after her, Lake Samantha. But as soon as her friends arrived, they noticed something strange. There was a doll hanging on every door in all the houses in town. Samantha explained it's because of a local urban legend. Years ago, a man escaped from an insane asylum nearby, unalived his entire family, then disappeared. Since then, people would go missing around the same time every year, so the dolls were used for protection. But after spending a day by the lake, Samantha and her friends found an old diary, half buried in the dirt near an abandoned house. They opened it up and saw multiple entries dating back to the 80s, but the most terrifying part was the last entry dated August 13, 2010. And it said, "I'm so proud of my daughter. She doesn't hear the voices and she has a lot of friends. Sometimes I take her to these woods. I even named the lake after her." That's when they all heard the sound of twigs snapping behind them. And when they turned around, they saw Samantha's father, saying, "You weren't supposed to find that. Follow for more."
Records that will never be broken again. Number 1, the woman with the most children. Back in the 1800s, a Russian woman named Vasiliev gave birth to 69 total children.
God
she had
damn.
16 pairs of twins, 7 triplets, and 4 quadruplets. And no one has come close to matching that number since. Number 2, the most nuclear explosions ever survived. This is Tsutomu Namaguchi. He has survived 2 different nuclear explosions. Tsutomu was on a business trip when the first nuclear bomb was dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. After miraculously surviving that explosion, he returned to his hometown of Nagasaki just in time to witness the second atomic bombing. But again, he miraculously survived and lived till the age of 93.
Do you know how lucky you have to be to survive 2 of those events in history? Yeah, something on his side. Because he survived 2 of them. That's insane. And those women who held those kids, I don't think that record's probably ever going to be broken. 69? What the hell?
Are the creepiest YouTube channels to ever exist.
Talk about it.
Part 1. Number 1, Meat Sleep. Meat Sleep began posting in 2015 and has since then stopped posting, but that still doesn't change the fact that its horrifying videos and very disturbing history linked to the channel gives it a spot on this list. Meat Sleep then removed the several videos it had on the channel even after garnering over 16,000 subscribers, but that still doesn't change the fact that some people saw some very terrible things. Most of the channel consisted of videos that seemed to be of people being stalked, but there was one video in particular that people pointed out that really just got under their skin. There was one video on the channel titled Meat Pig, which in cannibals' terms is actually human meat. Many people believe that the creator behind these videos is secretly a murderer and a cannibal as well. I assume the creator of this channel is still unknown, but who knows, they may be in jail.
And they was posting on YouTube and getting away with it? That was evidence right there. Man. Meat Sleep. First time hearing about that, man. Top in with us, you're gonna learn. Just edit.
All them out. Killed his mom over a bad grade. This is 15-year-old Gregory Ramos. And on November 2nd, 2018, Gregory Ramos got into a fight with his mother, Gail Clevenger. The fight started over his bad school grades, which resulted in him strangling his own mother to death. Gregory then proceeded to call 2 of his friends to help him bury her body and stage a robbery at his house. Gregory buried her body under a church fire pit and was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Now, what I'm about to show you is Gregory explaining exactly how he committed the murder, and it's absolutely disturbing, because keep in mind, this was his own mother.
Whatever. Alright, I'll tell you what happened. Alright, so I got home, I got an argument with my mom, she slapped me across the face, she began to hit me, she started beating me, I didn't like it, so I strangled her to death. Alright? I put her in a wheelbarrow, I put her in my car, I took the car, I had a mental breakdown where I almost committed suicide 3 times, I drove around Daytona, I dropped the wheelbarrow in some random ass location, and I drove back to the church. I began to dig a hole. I dig a hole right under the fucking fire pit. I dug a pretty deep hole. Pretty deep. I think that's what I put about it in.
No remorse.
All this time, my mom was decomposing body. I dragged it from my car to the fire pit. In which case, I tried to cut the wedding ring off her finger because I wanted to pawn it, but I
if you ever see this at the beach, do not touch it. And if it ever latches onto you like this, get help immediately. Before you do anything else, favorite this video because this could actually save your life one day. Now, at first glance, like me, you would think this is an alien creature from the deepest corners of hell. Whereas in fact, this is actually a detached octopus limb. And yes, if an octopus's arm becomes disconnected from its body, it does have the ability to live on for a short period of time by itself, explaining why it's able to move like a creature straight out of an alien movie. This, of course, is absolutely horrifying and a brand new conversation to bring up with your therapist if you saw this going about its business on the beach. Now, the suction power of this single arm would be incredibly difficult to remove on your own, because if you didn't know, one suction cup from an octopus can hold up to 35 pounds. And I am talking Great British, and on top of that hurts. Like, really badly! Now, this most likely wouldn't make this gentleman a Twitter hashtag. However, I wouldn't like to imagine if this was stuck on a more sensitive part of the body. Like the neck. So here's the best case scenario. You see it, you avoid it, you survive. I've said this to literally anyone you know because they might need this video one day.
In 2010.
That's crazy, bro. I didn't even know freaking an octopus, I guess arm or leg had that much freaking suction power, bro. So if you see it, follow his advice, turn away, bro. Don't try to attach that onto your body, man. We learned it.
And an avid caver named Jeff decided to go to Madagascar to explore a natural cave shaft he had discovered years earlier. He arrived in country. Jeff enters the cave when he notices something out of the corner of his eye, and he sees thousands of black widow spiders trying to escape the light. As much as Jeff wanted to stop right there and go right back up to the surface, he couldn't. He needed technical gear, and his technical gear was packed in his backpack, so he would have to descend to the bottom, then take his pack off, get the gear out, and go back up. He began his slow, awful descent into this cave filled with spiders. If he bumped into the wall, he'd hear them scatter all over the walls, and then he saw them climbing on his sleeve, he saw them on the rope. He finally gets to the bottom, and he opens it up. Spiders crawl out of his bag, carefully reaches in and pulls out his technical gear, throws it up, and he begins making his way back up. Once he gets to the surface, the first thing he does is he strips all of his clothing off to get all the spiders off of his clothing. Luckily, he doesn't get bit. He takes his notebook out, and he scratches off the title he had given this cave from the last time he was here, which was the Crooked Tube. He scratches that out, and on top of it, he writes, "The entrance to hell."
Things we all believed as kids. For some reason, I thought that if I swallowed watermelon seeds, an entire tree would grow inside of me. Now at night, if you didn't start running to your room as soon as you turned off the lights, the monster that was somehow chasing you would catch you and eat you. A blanket could literally protect us from anything, and I would still argue that my blanket is a modern day shield. My parents used to tell me if I crossed my eyes for long enough, my eyes would stay stuck that way forever.
Yep, those were like myths as the kids.
Things you can't unsee. The KFC logo looks like Colonel Sanders has a tiny body. Now I can never unsee it. Have you ever noticed that the letter G is simply a spinning arrow? Those drowning signs at the beach look very similar to LOL. There's nothing funny about drowning. The Dodge Viper logo looks like Daffy Duck upside down. Ever noticed how water fountain drains look like a Wi-Fi logo? This sign for a German school looks a bit suspicious. Did you know there's a bear hidden inside the Toblerone logo? Did you ever notice Nelson from The Simpsons is simply a young Barney? And in the 7-Eleven logo, only the N is in lowercase. The Hunger Games Mockingjay logo looks very similar to Johnny Bravo. And I bet you never realized the Big Bang Theory's Dexter's Laboratory grown up. Also, the collar on the Wendy's girl says Mom. Homer Simpson has MG sneaked onto him. These are the initials of Matt Groening, The Simpsons creator.
I never realized.
And finally, the Adidas logo kind of looks like a sinking ship.
Damn, all these hidden logos and stuff, bro. They were right in front of our eyes and we never even knew. It goes to make you think, man. What other logos have hidden messages behind it? The more you know. That's an edit. We're calling them out.
Scary facts that will blow your mind. Part 1. The middle of nowhere is an actual place within New Mexico. The legend goes that an elderly couple lived out there with their dog and witnessed many strange and bizarre things. One night, they reported seeing a strange creature that they identified as a skinwalker. After reporting this to the police, the family had vanished under strange circumstances. Their dog, however, was left behind. This is the story that Courage the Cowardly Dog was based off of. Like and Follow for more.
Adult jokes in kids' cartoons you probably didn't notice.
Hey, Judy! Wanna pollinate with a real bug? Oh, lady, come like lava. Yeah.
So, being a ladybug automatically makes me a girl. Is that it, flyboy? Huh?
Yikes! She's a god!
What would happen
What
if
the
you
heck?
don't have a shower for 60 years? This is the world's dirtiest man, and he was born in 1928 in Iran, and apparently he hasn't taken a shower in 60 years, because he says he's scared of water and he thinks having a shower could kill him. And because he hasn't showered for so long, his immune system has gotten used to his body being this dirty. But over the years, people from other town have challenged him to have a shower in exchange for money, and he still tells them that he's so scared of it. So they offered him even more money, so he took it. But a few days after taking a shower, he died, because apparently his immune system was not used to him being so clean, which caused his body to go into extreme shock and pain. And before he died, he described the pain as a sharp burning sensation. What do you think caused this?
He really passed away because he took a shower? One of the most bizarre cases we've seen yet, Seekers.
A bad guy.
Bermuda Triangle? Yeah, that's another one. Antarctica. We ain't going to those places, man. That's off the bucket list. There's this guy that's at it. Call him like we see it.
A time traveler just took a lie detector test and passed it. I'm about to share with you all of his predictions for the upcoming future. So quickly make sure to favorite this video so we can come back to it to see if he was right. Let's start off with August of 2028, where aliens are meant to land here on Earth.
Yes, it is true that aliens did land on Earth in August 2028.
In fact, he states that we already know about the existence of aliens before this, as it becomes public knowledge. What? Next up, in the year 2030, the world will be governed under one law. This actually isn't a bad one. All of Earth's countries converge into one super nation.
In 2030, all of the world's countries converge into one super nation.
Next up, he goes on to say he has a chip inside of him. In fact, all humans from 2045 have this. And it has a name. Watch this.
I do have an implanted chip in my hand known as the One.
He claims it'll be rolled out to the public in 2029. It's a good thing no one's working on this, right? But there's even more predictions, and as I said, he was on a lie detector machine, in which every single answer came out true. In fact, even the lie detector machine guy said that he answered very quickly and very confidently. So it leads me to ask you this, is it all real? Now do me a favor, send this to literally anyone you know, because your friends need to see this.
Like the video, man, so more people can see this. That time travel theory, bro. It's chilling. What the hell happened? That was some footage we showed. Was that the debate? The mayhem. Appreciate him bringing this down for us. Fill up a stadium? God damn.
before and
Creepy case.
after animals growing up. This is what a baby white tiger looks like. They're born blind and only weigh 2 to 3 pounds, but they soon turn into this. Adult white tigers are ferocious and dangerous. They have a bite force of 1050 psi. To put that in perspective, a human's bite force is 162.
Damn.
They also grow razor-sharp teeth. This is what a baby Alaskan Malamute looks like. They're born with blue eyes and are tiny, fluffy, and cute. But when they grow up, they look like this. They become powerful and fierce, and their blue eyes change to brown, amber, or hazel. This is what a baby salamander looks like. They are tiny at only 2.5 centimeters in length, but when they grow older, they turn massive. Their skin turns thick and scaly. They also live for a very long time, sometimes 80 years or more. This is what a baby crocodile looks like. They're very cute and tiny at only 20 centimeters, but they're not so cute when they grow up. They become one of the most aggressive animals known to man, and can weigh a mind-blowing 2,200 pounds. This is what a baby pit bull looks like. They're very cute with oversized eyes and ears. But when they get older, they become very muscular.
Damn.
If not raised well, these can be very dangerous, which is why pit bulls are banned in over 10 countries.
What you're about to see is intense. What you just saw is the United States Coast Guard raiding a high-speed submarine in the Eastern Pacific Ocean moving more than 17,000 pounds of cocaine. On June 18th, 2019, a Coast Guard surveillance aircraft tracked and intercepted the drug-filled narco sub hundreds of miles off the Colombian-Ecuadorian coastline. The video shows a member of the Coast Guard riding on top of the speeding submarine.
Oh, what the hell?
He then starts pounding on the hatch and demanding it to come to a stop. 3 other Coast Guard members then jump ship and board the 40-foot-long submarine. The video then continues, and you see the presumed trafficker emerging from the submarine hatch with his hands up, surrender. And in total, 5 alleged smugglers were seized on board the vessel and were handed over for prosecution by the United States Drug Enforcement Administration.
Are these your friends, the police?
Now, just watch the full encounter unfold. It's honestly something straight out of a video game.
Okay. Did he have to like jump onto the sub?
That's gonna be hard to get on.
Is he speaking like another language too? Oh yeah, he definitely jumped. This is something like out of a movie scene. Whew.
These criminals survive long enough to have that justice served.
That was like out of a movie scene. Serious. Where's the? There's another edit.
They decided that these are the top 21 most hated foods in the world. Coming in at number 21 is Brussels sprouts. According to science, we're born to innately reject bitter foods. I couldn't agree more. At number 20 is cantaloupe. I don't agree with this at all. I love cantaloupe. Do I like it as much as watermelon, dragon fruit? No, but it definitely should not be on this list. At number 19 is pickles. I personally love pickles, but a lot of people voted them on the list because they're obnoxious shape. Also, people don't like their sour smell and annoying crunch. At number 18 is black licorice. Definitely. Compared to red licorice or other candy, yeah, it needs to be on that list. At number 17, you guessed it, canned tuna. Tuna salad was actually labeled as Atlanta, Georgia's #1 most hated food. At number 16 is candy corn.
Candy corn.
I love it so much, I do not understand that. At number 15 is Spam. I just don't understand the hype behind the canned meat. At number 14 is mayonnaise. I actually have a traumatic childhood experience with mayonnaise, so I would put this at number 1 on my list. At number 13 is ginger, based off of its smell. I actually love ginger, and when I'm sick, I make a hot honey lemon ginger tea. It's the way to go. At number 12 is liver. Do I even need to say more?
Yeah, no.
At number 11 is pineapple pizza. If you're somebody that likes pineapple on your pizza, jail.
Not me.
Just go. Jail. Now for the top 10, bologna. I used to love bologna as a kid, and then I had it like 20,000 times. I haven't had it in like literally 25 years. Number 9 is circus peanuts. Totally disagree with that. I love these things so much. Number 8 is eggplants. Doesn't taste like eggs at all and super bitter. Definitely should be on the list. Number 7 is bitter gourd. I've personally never had it before, but I guess it has good medicinal traits. It was voted as one of the most hated foods in China.
Okay.
Number 6 is the durian fruit. Supposedly it doesn't taste bad, but the smell is absolutely awful. And for our top 5 comes tomatoes.
Tomatoes?
I've tried so hard to like tomatoes, the different textures, I just can't get with it. Number 4 is mushrooms. This one blew me away because I love mushrooms on pizza, by themselves, as a meat substitute, but I guess the rest of the world doesn't think so. Number 3 is cilantro. Now there's actually a genetic reason behind this. If you ask a room of 100 people if they like cilantro, 14% of them will say it tastes like soap. At number 2 is olives. A lot of people think they have a very bitter, distinct flavor, and some people say they're an acquired taste. And at number 1 on the list, you guessed it, beets.
Beets?
33% of the world said they hated beets because of their earthy flavor. Let me know in the comments which food is your least favorite and which ones you thought should have been on the list.
Specialists have actually agreed that if you can answer this riddle easily, you might be a psychopath. An explorer and his crew were stranded in the Arctic for several months. When they were finally rescued, the explorer was reunited with his wife, to which he told her all the stories about how their ship crashed and the captain had to feed the remaining crew penguins while they huddled on the ice together in order to survive. A few days later, the explorer's wife became curious and decided to try penguin for herself. Now, despite the explorer's experience, he agreed to eat some with her. However, immediately after, he began to cry and ran out of the room. Shortly later, he unalived himself. But why? Now send this to a friend. Let's see if you're friends with a psychopath. Elon!
I don't know. I can't figure that riddle out.
Scary facts that will blow your mind. Part 1. The middle of nowhere is an actual place within New Mexico. The legend goes that an elderly couple lived out there with their dog and witnessed many strange and bizarre things. One night, they reported seeing a strange creature that they identified as a skinwalker. After reporting this to the police, the family had vanished under strange circumstances. Their dog, however, was left behind. This is the story that Courage the Cowardly Dog was based off of. Like and follow for more.
Whoa, I never knew that. I watched that as a kid.
Yo, what's up? These are some signs that your house may be haunted. The first one's going to be that a child is talking to an identified spirit. Now, children's imagination can run pretty wild, but if you've already ruled out the possibility of it being an imaginary friend, they're definitely more susceptible than you are to be talking to a ghost because they have the mindset of anything is possible, so they won't really think about it that much. The next sign's going to be if you hear unidentifiable noises in your home. Now, obviously, people can make noises and you may not even know that they made that noise, but if you're dealing with spirits and you hear a loud clack or bang, it's usually a spirit known as a poltergeist. They will slam and knock on doors and make any loud noise to try to scare you out of your own home. Don't let them. Alright, the next thing is going to be smelling an unusual scent in your home. Now, obviously, there could be a dead animal in your house, or there could be trash that just needs to be taken out. But if it isn't any of these two things, you might want to look into it, because a very common way that ghosts identify that they are in your home is by smell, whether that be the scent of cigars or perfume. They're trying to get the same smell that they had when they were alive.
Wow, okay. Write those down. Leo. Where the Leos at?
Okay, here's something you could tell your teacher in class tomorrow. According to a first-of-its-kind study, banning mobile phones in schools does not help kids' grades or behavior as intended.
You don't say.
Hate this one. The study was the first in the world to look at 1,227 students across 30 schools, some of which had strict cell phone bans, while others you could doom scroll TikTok at lunch. And guess
What? No difference in mental health, no difference in academic performance, and no difference in their sleep, exercise, or classroom behavior. So, what did it do? Well, kids in those stricter schools did spend less time on their phones. But, key point, only in school hours. And the fact that it didn't lower overall screen time suggests that those kids were only making up for lost time once they're out of school, which isn't ideal. But before you go thinking that this is your golden ticket to getting cell phones back in class, I don't think that's about to happen. The study's lead author said that these results show us that we need to do more than just ban phones in schools in order to tackle the negative impacts that excess phone use does have on children. I look forward to reading all the angry messages from teachers tomorrow.
What do y'all guys think, CQs? The banning, just a ban in school, it seems like it ain't enough, man. They might, if you want freaking, I guess, real change, we'll have to ban that at home too. Because as soon as they get out of school, they're going to go on that TikTok scroll. They're addicted to it, man. I don't know how, man. I mean, personally, I'm not. I don't do that doom roll on TikTok. I mastered that. It's pointless to me, so I just don't do it.
Cartoon facts you didn't know. Blue, that's a girl. Magenta is actually the boy. Tweety Bird isn't a girl. Tweety Bird is actually a boy. BMO actually has no gender. Can you guys please stop calling this guy Zelda? His name is Link. Goofy is not a dog. He's an Aberdeen Angus cow. Like this video if you want a part 2.
Goofy a cow? What the?
The picture behind me might look like a normal photo, but it's actually one of the most sinister, real-life haunted photos in history. Taken by a professional photographer in 1972 as guests arrived for a wedding, everything in this picture looks happy and normal. But if you take a closer look at the man standing in black, you'll see something odd. You can actually see somebody in white crouching behind the man. All 4 of the people in the picture said that there was no one behind them when it was taken. The photographer said the same thing, and that it would be impossible for someone to crouch behind them without him seeing them. This is a better picture where you can actually see the guy's legs, and then in the top you can see his eyes. The picture was even examined by police photographers, and they confirmed that it was genuine.
People are requesting the controversial story Playground to be made into a movie. You know, the story where a bunch of kids get unalived in Saw Trap-like fashion, and they're even wanting the Saw producers to make it. But here's why that's never going to happen. One child is used as a human surfboard and is going through a series of spiraling saw blades, and she is turned into nothing but a pile of mush and human flesh ribbons. That isn't even the craziest part of this book either. Playground would need to be toned down so much for so many reasons in order to be made into a movie, and at that point it wouldn't even resemble the original source material. And the Saw producers, my buddies Mark and Oren, have certain lines that they do not want to cross for the movies. They have stated that they never want to see a child in an actual active saw trap machine. And when the writers of Saw X said that they wanted to put Carlos in a saw trap, a child, the producers actually said no. They said it would be too disturbing, too much for audiences, and they had no interest in putting this in their movie. But the writers pushed back a little bit on this, and they said that they were going to use this to help elevate the story, and it was going to up the stakes a lot, and we wouldn't really see anything brutal happen to Carlos. And the producers said, okay, we'll give it a try. And that's my main point here. I understand why people see Playground and they're like, oh, it's gory, it's like Saw, maybe the Saw people would do this, but it just will not. Playground is a splatterpunk novel. It is not traditional horror. The whole point is to go to extremes and be over the top and as gross, as nasty as you can. The idea is to say down with the censorship and just do whatever you want, basically. Splatterpunk authors and game developers don't want anything to be off the table. They want to be as extreme and as horrific as they can to get the best scares possible in their minds. If Playground were made into a film, it would be way more intense than any of the Terrifier movies combined, but just imagine that, but with children. It just wouldn't be allowed to happen. Also, over on my pod, I've been covering controversial and graphic horror films. Last week we did Megan is Missing, and next week we're doing Martyrs, so go check that out if you want.
Psychology hacks you need to know.
Interesting.
If someone is trying to make you decide something in a hurry, they're most likely giving you a bad deal, and you should just walk away. If a person is trying to intimidate you, stare at their forehead with a blank expression. This will psychologically make them self-conscious. Chewing gum when you're nervous really does help because your brain thinks, I'm eating, so I must not be in danger. If you want to know if someone is interested in what you're saying, cross your arms. If they cross their arms too, this is called mirroring, and it actually means they're interested in the conversation. If you need to remember to do something tomorrow, just put something in your room out of place. The next day, you'll see this item out of place, and you'll remember why you put it there. Finally, if two people are arguing, stand in between them and eat something. It'll help alleviate the tension.
Or you're gonna get hit in the face. Wow.
Fun fact, often called one of the most perfectly designed objects to ever be built, we've all sat on a monoblock chair, and it's estimated more than 1 billion of them have been made since they began production in the 1970s. The monoblock chair transcends time. Look at these photos. Tell me what year they were taken. You can't. The monoblock chair is so perfectly designed, unlike cars, TVs, or phones, it's never changed. And since its design was never patented, we aren't actually sure who designed it. Credit is usually given to Douglas Simpson as the original designer and Henry Massonette as the mass producer. Monoblock chairs are really a product of industry. As injection molding became more refined in the 1970s, monoblock chairs were able to be produced on an insane scale and at a very minimal cost.
Nobody got that patent, man. If you got that during patent, you roll it in the dough. I'm surprised the creator of it didn't get a patent. There has to be a story behind that, right? That's a lot of money he left on the table. Something went down.
This is the moment the 17-year-old is seen smiling after finding out that he was found not guilty for the murder of his mother. The crazy part about this entire thing is that the year prior, he also shot and took his father's life. This all happened in September 2024 when 39-year-old Catherine Griffith was found to death in her parents' home in Auburndale, Florida. Her own son, 17-year-old Colin Griffith, he told police that his mother lunged at him with a knife and then somehow she fell on the knife and lost her life. Now, a few weeks before this happened, Colin had a conversation with his grandfather, which was his mother's father, and do you want to know what he said to him? He said, I quote, "More than anything, I want to slit her throat and feel her out and feel the life leave her body. That's how much I hate her." That's what he said to his grandfather. Witnesses also saw Colin and his mother arguing outside the house, and they saw him grab his mother by the hair and drag her inside the home. Now, the part that had my jaw on the floor was finding out that the year prior, Colin also and took his father's life. During the trial, this detail was not allowed in court, which means that the jury did not know that Colin also took his father's life, because I'm sure that if they knew this, the outcome would have been a lot different. It's actually terrifying that this man is just out and free, and in my opinion, he could potentially be a serial killer, and it's just a matter of time until he does this again.
Someone recently
I didn't
asked me
the jury
what the
know.
strangest thing I've seen in a police file is, and I think I have an answer. It's this trash can. Let me explain. So this trash can was found in Joan Rish's house in 1961, immediately after she went missing. Her young daughter had gone to a neighbor's house and told the neighbor that mommy is missing and there's red paint all over the kitchen. And when the police got there, they saw that the red all over the kitchen was blood. But there were also a few really weird details like this trash can, so the police had no idea what had happened to Joan. So first and foremost is the fact that this trash can is just in the middle of the kitchen. Normally it was under the sink, but here it is just in the middle of the kitchen for no reason. And then the contents of the trash made no sense. So here is the phone receiver, which has been ripped from the wall. You can see in this photo here that the phone is still on the wall, but just the mouthpiece was ripped off. And then moved across the kitchen and neatly placed on the trash. And on the phone was a fingerprint they could never identify. People hypothesized that maybe someone was there, and when Joan went to call for help, they ripped the mouthpiece off. Then there was this beer. So Joan's husband was out of town when this happened, but when he came back, he said that no one in the house drank Miller High Lifes. He didn't drink it, Joan didn't drink it, the trash had been taken out since the last time people were over, but yet there's Miller High Life next to the trash. Joan disappeared that day and was never seen again, and these two little pieces right here are some of the only evidence that someone else may have been in the house. They don't know if she ran away on her own, if she was taken, or what. But the whole story is really wild, and I tell it all tonight on the episode. Also, merch goes live when the episode drops.
What if you had a fetus growing inside of your skull right now and you had no idea? In China, an unborn twin was found inside of the skull of a 1-year-old child. This led to more research in Fetus and fetu, where the twins fuse and then only one of them kind of undergo development. And in this case, the other one's in their skull. Also, as you can see behind me, this is what they pulled out of the brain. It's about the size of a hand from what I can tell. Maybe a little smaller than a hand. I see some fingers up over here.
but that's still pretty significant in size to be inside of your brain like that, and the x-ray is just wild. I'm curious to see how this affected the other twin. Did it have any cognitive impairments on the other one? Did it hurt at all or something? I'm just surprised the other twin's body, while undergoing development, didn't dissolve the twin and kind of consume them. That's apparently a thing that happens when twins fuse. The other one kind of absorbs the weaker one. But this thing looks like it came out of Stranger Things, like season 2, when Will like puked that thing into the sink.
Yep.
Also looks like a sandworm from Dune or Jabba the Hutt. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
The picture behind me might look like a normal photo, but it's actually one of the most sinister, real-life haunted photos in history. Taken by a professional photographer in 1972 as guests arrived for a wedding, everything in this picture looks happy and normal. But if you take a closer look at the man standing in black, you'll see something odd. You can actually see somebody in white crouching behind the man. All 4 of the people in the picture said that there was no one behind them when it was taken. The photographer said the same thing, and that it would be impossible for someone to crouch behind them without him seeing them. This is a better picture where you can actually see the guy's legs, and then in the top you can see his eyes. The picture was even examined by police photographers, and they confirmed that it was genuine.
That'd be a ghost or something, man.
Here's what to actually do if you're buried alive. The first step is to slow your breathing and stay in control of your emotions to minimize oxygen intake. Then try and find something rigid such as a rock to make noise against the coffin in case anyone is still above. Quick note, if you've been buried in a steel coffin, give up. If you've been buried in a wooden coffin, find something to make a hole in the top. When you cut the hole, push the dirt that comes through underneath you and then begin to climb up. If you've recently been buried, then the dirt should still be soft and you'll be able to climb up out alive.
Noted. It's like that, y'all know, remember that Kill Bill the movie? When she had to punch her way out? That's the first time I seen something like that. I remember watching that when I was young. That's just what came in my head when I heard that advice.
I don't know if it's just me, but animal nerds piss me off, bro. Because for some reason, they always have to tell you the darkest fact about your favorite animal that you didn't even ask.
And I'm gonna do it again. Matter of fact, what's your favorite animal?
Favorite animals are otters and seals.
Say less. If you see a sea otter with its nose ripped off, it's almost definitely a female, because the otter mating process involves the male clamping his jaws around her face to hold her in place. Consent sold separately. In fact, it might be discontinued. The males can get so aggressive that they completely destroy the female's nose, where it gets infected and swells to the point where the female can't eat and just starves to death. Or the male gets too excited and accidentally waterboards his partner in the process, which is only a tragedy to one of them, since males reportedly can't tell the difference between an active breathing participant and a soul-evicted carcass, because they treat them exactly the same. Now, you'd expect an animal that dates like this to have more males than females. Problem is that sometimes he's an aggressive testosterone incel weasel without a mate. In some of these lower female areas, these down bad water wolverines will settle for anything roughly the same size, which can lead to male sea otters breaking the seal with no approval, and sometimes even guarding the life-retired body for up to a week. Now, it doesn't happen that often, it's pretty rare, and only in those places with a severe gender imbalance. But what was your other favorite animal?
And seals.
Oh, well, some fur seals in Antarctica have the same problem, where a lack of female causes a hormonal hot dog without abundance taken in to resort to. Yeah, there have been multiple recorded instances of fur seals forcing themselves on king penguins. In one case, a seal assault lasted 14 hours until it eventually gave up and just ate the bird. And now you know why penguins waddle. Say something else. I want you to.
He will expose all of them, man.
Sorry. Or whatever.
Oh, I don't really recall calling you, ugly. See you next Tuesday. I'm such an honest person, and, like, I'm the first to take accountability. Like, this is, like, a misunderstanding. Yeah, no, I would never call you a ugly. See you next Tuesday. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for caring about you. I'm so sorry for only wanting the best for you. I'm so sorry. Happy? How am I always sorry? Are you ever sorry? Have you been sorry about cheating on me? Have you been sorry about lying to me? Have you been sorry about talking crap about me behind my back? Have you been sorry about anything to me? Have you? And you want me to be sorry?
You do not. What the?
You were way too sensitive. The world owes me an apology. Oh, it's your victim mindset. Nobody, and I mean nobody, will do an apology. Get up. I had to learn the hard way.
The Grammys are not real because you're going to sit here and tell me that Billy did not win one single award after being nominated in 7 categories? How is this even possible? Hit Me Hard and Soft was the best album in 2024. I don't care what anyone says. And I swear that throughout 2024, all I heard on the radio was just Billie Eilish over and over and over again. On top of that, Birds of a Feather was a most streamed song in 2024 on Spotify, yet she lost Album of the Year to Beyonce. I'd be crying too if I knew my album was this good and I won 0 Grammys. The trailer for the new
What do you guys think, man? The Grammys is rigged, man. I've heard different stories, you know, like behind the scenes. There was like, didn't Jay-Z? It's like Jay-Z paid for that for Beyonce to win, but I don't know. That was just like a rumor I heard. I don't know if there's any validity to it, but what do you guys think about the Grammys? Can those awards be bought?
Final Destination movie is finally out. I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but Final Destination is literally my comfort horror franchise. We all know everyone dies, but the death scenes are always so creative, and there's just something oddly satisfying about these movies. So let's watch the trailer together. I also haven't seen it yet, so this will be a blind.
Final Destination, man. I heard that's why people won't, you know, drive behind logs, like log trucks, something like that. That's where I got it from, so stay away from those. Always, man.
On a baby boy, on a kid, very child, like a very, very young child.
Never knew that.
Yeah, so they saw that it drops by 2% every year. That keeps going, frequent 2%. So kids born, males born in the 90s, have double the amount of testosterone from kids born in the 2010s.
Yeah.
Bro, you know boys that are born in the 2020s, very low. Like, dangerously low testosterone.
It's about the food, bro.
I don't know, man.
It's about the product.
30 years from now, this is a scientific study calculation. 30 years from now, males and females will have the same amount of testosterone count. Yani, our kids.
And انت بتكون حرم محمد.
لا محشوم
What is one true crime case that you just can't stop thinking about?
Interesting.
I always wonder what really happened to 6-year-old Catherine Corzilius. On August 7th, 1996, Catherine, along with her mom Nancy and her brother Chris, were out running errands. Catherine's dad was Paul Corzilius, who at the time was the tour manager for John Bon Jovi. That day was Paul's birthday, so they were all out looking for a present for him. They all lived on Elder Circle, which is a small neighborhood near Austin, Texas. When they got back to Elder Circle, Catherine wanted to pick up the mail from the community mailbox and then walk home. The mailboxes were only about 1/8 of a mile from their home, and Catherine had done this a few times before, so her mom let her. Catherine would take the shorter route home, while her mom and brother would take the longer route around Elder Circle. This way, they would be getting home at almost the same time. But once Nancy and Chris got home, with still no sign of Catherine, Nancy sent Chris to go and look for her. But when Chris couldn't find her, Nancy started searching for her by car. Within minutes, they found her laying in the middle of the road on Elder Circle. She was unconscious, but still breathing. According to Nancy, she didn't want to make her daughter lay on the hot pavement, so she picked her up and took her to the hospital. Little Catherine suffered from a fractured skull and never regained consciousness, and sadly, she died later that day. Authorities initially thought that Catherine was a victim of a hit and run, but certain things didn't add up. Where Catherine's body was found was in an unusual spot. Her mom last saw her walking towards their house, but her body was found a little over a mile away from their home in the opposite direction that she was supposed to have gone. Catherine's body was actually found along the route that her mom and brother took to get home, and the autopsy only deepened the mystery. The autopsy showed that Catherine didn't die from a hit and run. Along with her head injury, she also had abrasions on her left shoulder, lower back, right hip, and her knees. The ME found that Catherine had either jumped, fallen, or was thrown from a moving vehicle. One theory investigators came up with was that Catherine maybe tried to hold on to the back of her mom's car on the drive home, but fell off. This would explain the location of where her body was found. But her family did not believe this, so they hired a PI. The PI noted that it was a really hot summer day, and at the time, Catherine's left thumb was broken and in a splint, so it would have been really difficult for her to hold on to anything. And it's likely her mom would have seen her in the rearview mirror. Catherine's family believes she was abducted and murdered. After her death, investigators brought in a canine unit that tracked her scent to a vacant lot 30 yards from the mailboxes, but it was lost after that. This sparked a theory that Catherine was approached by an attacker at the mailboxes, ran into the lot, was caught and thrown into a car, struck in the head, and then was thrown out of the vehicle where she was found. Nancy also stated that it appeared her daughter's body was laid out for her to find. Her hair was smoothed down, her clothes were straight, and her sandals were still on. Unfortunately, there's never been any answers in this case, and it's still labeled a suspicious death. John Bon Jovi wrote a song dedicated to Catherine called August 7, 415. And sadly, in March of 2020, Catherine's brother Chris, who grew up to be a police officer, was tragically killed in a car accident.
So sad, man.
You and your friends are serial killers. Number 1, antisocial behavior. Number 2, setting things on fire. It doesn't have to be houses. Number 3, torturing animals. Number 4, having a troubled family history and substance abuse. Number 5, they're pretty smart but cannot keep a job. Do you know anyone that could be a serial killer?
Here's some of the most random fun facts you will ever hear in your life. Armadillo shells are actually bulletproof. One time a man was hospitalized when he shot at an armadillo and the bullet ricocheted off the shell and hit him instead. There's only one letter in the entire alphabet that isn't in any US state name, and that letter is Q. There's not a single state with the letter Q in its name.
Really?
71% of the earth is covered in water, and humans can only use 0.007% of that water. 2.5% of the total water is fresh water, and only 1% of that is actually accessible. The bumblebee bat is the smallest mammal in the entire world. These things can rest on your fingertips and you might not even know because they weigh 0.05 to 0.07 ounces. Ostriches are the world's largest and heaviest living bird. That's why they can't fly, but they are built for running. And they can reach speeds of up to 43 miles per hour, and they can pretty easily coast at 30 miles per hour. The longest English word is 189,819,000 letters long. It's a protein and its nickname is titin, and it would take around 3.5 hours to say the word out loud.
The hell?
People who gained real-life superpowers after an accident. Jason Padgett was a party animal who hated school and got terrible grades. But one day, 2 men savagely robbed and attacked Jason outside of a karaoke bar, leaving him with a severe concussion. The concussion caused him to become a mathematical genius and made him learn fractal geometry, which he had never been taught before. When Derek Amato was 39 years old, he hit his head after diving into a swimming pool and was diagnosed with a concussion and 35% hearing loss. After that, Derek began to see black and white keys in his head, and out of nowhere, he began to play the piano like an expert. Ben McMahon was in a car accident in 2015 and fell into a coma for a week. When he woke up, he could speak perfect Chinese even though he had only learned the basics as a child. Tony Cicerio was struck by lightning after making a call in a phone booth. Within a couple days, he was addicted to music, which he wasn't before. After trying the piano, he became a musical artist, composing his own music.
This mother hits the...
Man, what is up, man? These freak accidents, bro. Like, it really sounded like something out of a comic book, man. You know, something traumatic happens to them. They wake up with new abilities or powers or something like that. Can't believe those stories, man. Are real. We'll have to check them out, see if we can find any more.
Sticky notes in her daughter's sock to be saved from captivity. This 28-year-old mother and 2 kids, 7-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son, Mason Dominguez, were held captive by a man named Brandon Tusland. This all started in January 2021 when the father of the 2 kids, Eli Dominguez, passed away from pneumonia. The mother was happily married to Eli, but since his death, she began to struggle financially. That's when Eli's former friend, Brandon, offered to support her and her 2 kids. In March 2021, the mother and 2 kids moved into Brandon's home, and that's when he became controlling and abusive. He alienated her from her family, made her quit her job, and confiscated her phone. He put locks on the bedroom doorknobs, installed motion sensors, and duct taped her to the bed. She was also handcuffed when she rode in the car with him. But one day, the mother spotted a sticky notepad and a pen in his car, and that's when she began a weeks-long plan to seek help. The mother found the perfect chance to put a sticky note in her daughter's sock, and on February 22nd at 8:40 a.m., the 7-year-old girl went to school and gave the sticky note to her teacher. The note said that her mother was being held against her will and she needed help right away. School officials notified authorities and Brandon was arrested right away. But it doesn't end there. This is when things get super disturbing. Brandon kept her kids away from her most of the time, and especially when she was locked up. And she actually had not seen her 4-year-old son, Mason Dominguez, since December 11th, and she suspected he was dead. When the mother lost full contact with her son, she knew she had to find a way out to save her and her daughter. When police searched his house, they found the remains of 4-year-old Mason Dominguez in his freezer in his garage.
It's just a dark case seekers, man. She was smart.
Testophobia. Thanosophobia.
Level 1. It's good. I'm still good right now. It's kind of scary. Could you imagine being out there? Yeah, I can't do that. Damn.
These toy designers messed up big time. I'm pretty sure there was a better spot to put this straw on Buzz Lightyear. Come on. And I've never seen a duck with 4 legs before. Have you? I poop glitter. But why is this even a toy? And why this designer made Harry Potter blue? I'll never understand. And this looks like a normal cute horse, right? Well, it actually has a Barbie head as the tail. I am a sweet baby. Let's have fun together. Yeah, you don't look too sweet. And
What
I think
the
there's
hell?
something up with this Woody doll. And I'm not sure what's going on with this baby's eye.
What the hell was wrong with those toy designers, man? They weren't thinking.
Here are some of the rarest human mutations that actually exist. Firstly, every 1 in 1,000 people have a perfect 10 face, meaning that all of their features fit perfectly within these lines. Now, every 1 in 107 people experience something called mirror touch. It's where you feel the sensation of touch in the same or opposite body part when you see somebody else being touched. Now, 4% of people have something known as sweaty palm syndrome. I'm sure you can guess what that is. It's where your palms sweat when you're not even being active. And the rarest mutation is werewolf syndrome. This is where you have excessive hair growth all over your body. And only 50 people worldwide have this.
This is Tragedy by the Sea.
Werewolf syndrome. Interesting.
Photos of all time.
Okay, so first glance at this photo, you just think it's a couple arguing at the beach, right? But believe it or not, this photo might have the most unsettling and disturbing backstory ever. On the morning of April 2nd, 1954, Los Angeles Times photographer named John Gaunt, who was pictured in the middle of this photo, was relaxing on his front yard of his beachfront house when he heard a neighbor shout, "Something's happening on the beach." He then instinctively grabbed his camera and rushed over to see the horrified couple clutching each other on the beach. On the shore stood a young couple named Mr. and Mrs. McDonald, and their body language made John's stomach turn. He realized that someone must be lost, and he then took a photograph from 200 yards away. Only then did he learn that just moments before, the couple's 19-month-old son Michael, who had been playing in the yard, had wandered down to the beach and crawled into the violent waters while they weren't looking. Despite the back and forth efforts by the parents, there was nothing they can do but just wait. Unfortunately, later that day, the child's dead body was washed up about a mile away on the beach. And this photo, titled "Tragedy by the Sea," appeared on the front page of the Times the very next day. John Gaunt then won the 1955 Pulitzer Prize Award, calling the photo poignant and profoundly moving. But he also received heavy criticism for capitalizing on the family's tragedy for his photo opportunity. But now take a look at this photo, knowing everything you do, and tell me it's not one of the saddest and most disturbing photos ever.
The darkest conspiracy theories. The Teletubbies theory. The theory says that the show is inspired by historic events that happened in a Bulgarian mental facility. Each Teletubby is inspired by a kid that was experimented on. Lola was based on a child who had facial disfigurement and had to smile all the time. Tinky Winky was based on a deaf child who was tied to a fence outside and suffered frostbite. Gypsy was inspired by a child who was constantly sick and ended up lying in his own puke. And Poe was based on a child who fell into fire, which is recognizable by his color as red.
Oh no.
All life over. There you
No,
go.
no, 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 silly. To dry it. But it exploded. And they were both found dead.
Here's some
Sounds like
random
an
things
edit.
we all did as kids. Who remembers pouring glue all over their hand and peeling it off? How satisfying was that?
I
And
remember
we
that.
definitely have all gotten our fingers stuck in one of these at least one time. Who
True.
remembers feeling like the coolest kid with a pencil this small? And we all ran our fingers along these grooves at school. Admit it, we all stabbed our eraser with our pencil like this. And we definitely all unraveled the design of these pencils. And we all dove to the bottom of the pool to pick up these rings. Who remembers using these blocks in school? And we definitely all tried pushing down all of the colors at one time.
Did any of you guys do that, Seekers, in school? I remember
It's not
that.
something that's terribly new, but have you heard about the woman that is haunting AI pictures? This is the face, and nobody can explain why she keeps showing up in AI images. If you look at her, she's not really general. I mean, there are specific characteristics here that are consistent. Again, nobody knows which prompts are generating this woman. Nobody knows why her face continues to appear in different models. So this has opened up one of my favorite questions about the idea that AI pictures can be haunted. And don't forget, if things like this are of interest to you, make sure to go check out the podcast.
War generals really to study
Wow.
how a coyote managed to finesse its two biggest enemies, and all they had to do was wait and play the long game. So once upon a time, humanity saw this canyon puppy and decided it was on site ever since. America started murking coyotes like they were made out of oil. Mark Twain hated it so much, he wrote a 3-page MLA format essay on why coyotes deserve nothing. If you thought Kendrick hated Drake, that is nothing on the abhorrence this man had for a travel-sized wolf. So much that it literally inspired a pain magnet of a Looney Tune. Now here's the first problem of beefing with coyotes. Coyotes are basically canine cockroaches. The harder you try to murk them, the harder they work to birth them. Apparently they even have this roll call where a female will call out and all the coyotes in an area will answer. And if she doesn't hear a lot of yotes back, it'll actually trigger her body to make more pups. Now op number 2, wolves don't mess with coyotes at all. Like to a homicidal level. To the point where wolves will hard bully coyotes in the same area. Now here's where the get back happened. While we were out here spam killing coyotes, we were also at war with wolves. Except getting generationally stepped on by wolves made coyotes that much more adaptable. So while the big bad wolf was getting smoked, coyotes were out here stepping extinction. And when wolves got packed up in the US, for coyotes it was free real estate. So not only did we accidentally become coyote allies, the wolf dating pool got so low, eventually they started doing the unspeakable with the ops to survive, leading to the coy wolf. It's exactly what it sounds like. Remember, wolves hate coyotes more than anything. So just like that, coyotes managed to outcompete their biggest enemy and also colonize their bloodline. And with coyotes found in every state that isn't Hawaii, they basically humbled humanity too. And that's why I rock with them. They're alive out of spite, and I respect that.
Man. A merge between coyote and wolf, both ops joining together, man. All because of us. Crazy story in Animal Kingdom history.
Unexpected emergency alert systems in different countries. Firstly, if you don't know, countries have different emergency alert systems. The one I'm used to is America's that sounds like this.
Yup.
But on the other hand, we have the country of Barbados, which honestly sounds like club music. Next is Japan, which to me isn't that scary, it just sounds like a notification. Now, one that I would genuinely be terrified by is Ireland's. Just imagine waking up to this. Finally, you know, I'm kind of glad that America's emergency alarm isn't too scary because Denmark is on another level.
Nightmarish facts about your body that you probably shouldn't think about. Due to the brain's lack of pain receptors, brain surgery is often performed while the patient is awake and talking. And in some cases of brain surgery, the surgeon will pull your face forward like a banana. Men's nipples can be stimulated enough to produce milk. Once you turn 30 years old, you can expect to lose half an inch every 10 years. When you developed in the womb, your anus was formed before anything else. So at one point, you were nothing but an asshole. The acid in your body is strong enough to dissolve razor blades, which is why your stomach is in a constant battle to not digest itself. When you get a sunburn, your cells are dying to avoid becoming cancerous. A sneeze can blow out of your nose at over 100 miles an hour. So next time, be careful, because it's actually possible to break a rib simply by sneezing. If you've ever been on a roller coaster and feel like your heartbeat is in your mouth, it isn't your imagination. Your organs are actually moving around inside your body.
You guys know some freaking creepy facts? I think the one that got to me is that we have enough stomach acid to freaking burn, like I said, the razor blade, bro. And they were literally born in that freaking butthole, bro. I never knew that was the first thing that formed, man. So we was all, I guess, an asshole one time in our life. Edit. Like I said, man, if you guys see any edits, man, call them out as well, bro. We all need to help each other, man, this community.
Adult jokes in kids' cartoons you probably didn't notice.
Hey, Judy! Want a party with a real bug? Yeah! Oh, lady, come like Papa. Yeah.
So, being a ladybug automatically makes me a girl. Is that it, flyboy? Huh?
Right! She's a god!
Knowledge you wish you didn't know, Gandhi was racist and sexist. He kept a bunch of underage girls with him all the time. He would bathe with them, get full-body massages from them, and sleep naked with them in order to test himself. He also thought women were responsible for their own sexual assaults, and was totally cool with fathers killing their own daughters after they had been sexually assaulted for family honor.
Gandhi origins confirmed. What?
Lauren was shot 15 times, and 8 of those shots were fatal. Emergency personnel arrived at the scene, as well as local neighbors, so that they could assist. At that point, no one had told Lauren's parents that she had been shot. Lauren's mom, Bianca, was unaware of what was going on, and was just doing what she normally did, waiting at home for Lauren to arrive. But then, one of her friends pulled up to her house, asking if Lauren was home yet. Her mom was confused about this question, and responded and said, "No, why?" And the friend, in a panic, said, "Kids are down," and then left. So her mom, Bianca, didn't hesitate or even let her dad, Vern, know what she was doing, and she just booked it out the front door to make sure that it wasn't her child that was, quote, down. Lauren's dad, Vern, could tell that something was wrong, because Bianca wasn't the kind of person to just jump up, flee the house without saying anything or indicating what was wrong. So he knew something was up. So he immediately hopped in his truck and he followed her. There were tons of police cars, ambulances, people, and now crime scene tape blocking the area off. So Bianca was just looking around in a complete panic, trying to see if Lauren was there, while simultaneously trying to assess the situation and come to terms with what was going on, and that is when she laid eyes on Lauren. In that moment, her worst fears realized, and her worst nightmares come true, seeing her daughter on the ground, appearing to have been shot.
Okay, this is getting creepy. We're now finding out that a doomsday fish washed up dead in San Diego just 2 days before California was rattled by that 4.6 magnitude earthquake. I mean, come on. Now for anyone that doesn't know, we've spoken about this before, but according to Japanese mythology, the oarfish, which is very rarely seen by humans, because they swim at depths of roughly 200 to 1,000 meters, well, is said to intentionally rise to the surface and beach themselves ahead of an impending earthquake, hence the name. And I made a video earlier this year when one was spotted before the Japan earthquake, and now again for this one. So, now remember, there is no scientific evidence that has proven a correlation between them washing up and earthquakes. So as of right now, all we can say is just it's a freaky, freaky coincidence.
You guys believe that, man? It's 2 out of 2, though. He did one early this year in the fish, and that freaking earthquake happened, and another one happened as well. So he's 2 for 2 confirmed, man. It's starting to not seem like a coincidence anymore, Seekers.
Attractions in the World Part 2. Today we're going to be talking about the 17th door. This attraction is so much different than the rest because actors are allowed to touch you. There's also a slight possibility that you'll get your hair cut here, which makes things like 100 times worse. Put you through various levels and rooms that just kind of keep getting worse. The room that you're seeing here actually turns and spins while you're in it. It's really trippy, especially if you don't know it's coming. You can watch a walkthrough of this place online. A lot of commenters were saying that this doesn't do the place justice. Basically, they were holding back a little for the people recording, supposedly. Oh yeah, and here's their lovely little barber shop. I wouldn't go here, but let me know if you would.
I'm never going to any of those freaking haunted houses, bro. They're too extreme for my
Beetlejuice is
taste.
not going to try to marry Jenna Ortega's character in the sequel. I feel like the trailers make it abundantly clear that he's trying to get back with Lydia again. First thing he does when he sees her is he grabs her and he says, "I'm gonna make you so happy." He even has a picture of Lydia on his desk, and then he says, "Now's my chance." The trailer kind of implies that Lydia's husband dies at the beginning of the movie, so maybe the movie is about Beetlejuice trying to be a father to Jenna Ortega's character. He puts down the newspaper and it says obituary, so he probably found out someone died and he thought, now is my time. Let me have another chance with Lydia. You can even see in the trailer that he's at the altar with Lydia. You can also see a wedding cake in the chapel, and you see that this is Lydia with the red dress from the first movie. Like, the first wedding outfit is on the wedding cake. And we even see her in a chapel in the red dress. Because I know that Jenna Ortega is wearing a white dress here, but if she was marrying Beetlejuice, it would be this white dress. Also, let's be honest, like, it's 2024. I think they realized that they kind of made him look like a creep in the old movie and that society doesn't like that anymore. They're not okay with that. And they acknowledge that in the musical. There's a whole song about how Lydia's marrying a creepy old guy and she's an underage bride. Also, this is a fan-made photo. But I know they added this character, I think her name's Dolores, that's gonna be Beetlejuice's wife. I can't wait for this movie though. Let me know your thoughts and follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more. It really helps when you interact.
I never watched the first Beetlejuice, guys, so tell me down below, man. Should I check that out? Do they sound like a creep trying to marry an underage girl? I don't think they're doing that in the second Beetlejuice.
What did Smith really mean to tell us?
Y'all, we out here on vacation in the Bahamas. Another beautiful day. Check it out. Check it out. Boom. I want to talk to y'all for a minute about the power of perception. You see, there's a lot that goes in to being a hot social media content provider. For instance, y'all think I got time to go on vacation? No. I got social to do. Come on, man, this is blue screen. In fact, I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I haven't looked like this good in years. I've been totally computer generated since like the 90s. You know what? This ain't even real blue screen. It's 2019, y'all. Nothing's real.
Tell me.
The whole message of this freaking computer generated, man. That's really scary. It shows you how far technology has come, and you can literally just make anything, bro, on the internet. Location, your face, whole bodies. Oh, that's trippy.
You believe was Disney trying to tell us something? Crazy, right? Some things are just an optical illusion, right? Well, is this an optical illusion? Look at that and tell me you don't know what that is. Go ahead and tell me that confidently and mean it. Because you know darn well what that is. You can see it. No, that's not a carving. That's a petrified animal from the days of old.
Do you see this?
Yes.
Do you see this?
Yep.
It's freaking nature! And it's freaking awesome!
Yes, it is. And I don't think science can properly explain how these animals were petrified so quickly to where they were able to preserve their form through all these years. And you know, that really got me thinking. There's plenty of statues on this earth that are thousands of years old. Now, what if they were petrified beings? Now, I know, it's just a thought. And yeah, I can't wait for the Mount Rushmore jokes. And you can joke all you want, but I promise you truth is stranger than fiction.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. There are thousands of old diseases frozen in the glaciers of the world, and global warming will eventually release them all. If a person dies in their costume at Disney, like Mickey Mouse, they have to be sat down on a bench so it looks like they're resting. Climate change is making spiders bigger. Some female spiders allow their young to eat them alive. Tooth in the eye surgery is when surgeons put a tooth in a blind person's eye to restore their sight. It was pioneered in the 1960s, and it actually works, and it's still being done today. The chances of a successful CPR outside of a hospital is only 7%. Cell phones are 10 times dirtier than a toilet seat. When you suddenly wake up during the night without any reason, there was someone or something staring at you. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 12.
Need to clean our phones, bro.
Even
ASAP.
the actor that plays Art the Clown vomited from how gross Terrifier 3 is about to be. In fact, there were a lot of really big production companies that wanted to be involved in making Terrifier 3. The creator ended up turning it down because he didn't want to have less gore and tone down certain scenes. To stick it to these companies, he said, we're gonna make it even worse. He even said that they're gonna make the bedroom scene from the last movie look like a little kid thing. Like, that is how intense this movie is going to be. That is the level that we're about to be on. It's supposedly an unwritten rule that you're not supposed to do anything to kids. Like when bad things happened to Georgie and it was like such a game changer, and so many people were like really upset that they would kid in a film. And I don't know about you, but I'm thinking of so many movies where they don't follow that rule. But they are not about to hold back. I don't understand how they can do like the bedroom scene and then be able to put that in the movie theater. The scene took 3 years to make, and it was so intense that people were either vomiting or walking out of the theater. But it was insane. It was so like an awakening. Terrifier the franchise is just known for upsetting the mainstream and pushing boundaries in horror, which I love. But one thing is certain, I absolutely cannot wait for this film.
That was weird.
Jeepers, creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Jeepers, creepers, where'd you get those eyes?
The hell is that? Creepy headed. Open the door. Bro just trying to game, man. Got an entity coming after him, bro.
With Halloween right around the corner, let's get right into this. When you think of a haunted doll, you most likely think of this. Well, in 2013, a mother bought her daughter a frozen Elsa doll. Basically, the doll would sing Let It Go in English, and for the first 2 years, nothing really happened. Until in 2015, it would alternate from singing in English to singing in Spanish, and that was on the setting on the doll. In December of 2019, the mom claimed that the doll would turn on at random moments of the night, and she had never changed the batteries after having it for 6 years. The mom then secretly threw the doll away in the trash can and was alarmed when she found it hidden in a bench 2 weeks later. Her kids still claim to this day that they had no idea that she even was throwing away the doll and do not know how it appeared again.
I really want to...
How'd it get back there?
A security guard at the Bryson Avenue Mall located in Virginia took this photo in 2011. It would later be turned into police, but the woman seen here was never found. For context, the security guard's name was Sean Mercado, and he worked the night shift at this mall. But the mall had been having strange things happening for like weeks. Like on after hours, there are store alarms going off that nobody's ever found. They're hearing people running through the mall, but again, they never see anybody. Until one night when Sean Mercado goes out to have a cigarette, he's just kind of patrolling the parking lot, and he goes back to enter through the employee entrance when he saw this woman staring back at him from inside the mall. He takes a photo for proof, and then he radios for backup, and he goes in after her. He claimed to chase her as fast as he could, but he eventually lost her inside that mall. And despite a police investigation, she would never be found.
Yeah, I would not go back to that mall, bro. It's haunted.
It's one of those pictures. One of the pictures where you don't see it at first, right? This photo comes out of Wisconsin State University. It's from 2012, and it was taken by Aaron Silva. What looks like just an abandoned hallway, if you look very close to the back left, you'll see it. The outline of a person who had been watching him from around the corner. For context, this was a very common tradition at this school. A lot of people would dare each other to go inside the abandoned infirmary that was just off campus. Go inside using just a flashlight, and whoever stays in the longest eventually wins. But Aaron was never going to make it out. After more than an hour had passed, his friends eventually became concerned, and they go in looking for him, where they found him and described him as cut from the mouth down to the center of his chest. This was a hugely disturbing case for police, but they eventually do retrieve his phone, and they zero in on this picture, a picture which they believe shows who might have done this to Aaron. And if you increase the brightness, you can see the outline even better.
And people were daring each other to go in that building?
Scaretopia
Hell
Day
no.
11. This is Norman. Around 18 years ago, Norman was built to appear in a music video for the band Interpol, and for some reason, people seem to adore him. However, Norman then disappeared for 10 years. Then, in 2014, an auction on iCollector.com titled Animatronic Creepy Ghoul Puppet from a Music Video was listed, and sure enough, it was Norman. Norman resurfaced after 10 years, and it was shocking to see what horrible, disturbing shape he was in. Despite having a strong fan following, no one bought it, and he disappeared once again for another 5 years. He was then found and acquired by a YouTuber, and, well, the rest speaks for itself.
My surprise, look at him. Would you buy something like that? Those weird creepy eyes looking back at you, man. That ain't for me, bro. Seekers, fun fact about me, I don't do dolls, man. Creepy as hell.
So there's a level that's a theme park, and it features carnival games. Who runs it? Entities. I don't like this. Clowns, like rainbow wig, white painted face. If there's clowns, it's not happening. They're actually friendly. No. They'll actually help you exit the level, but you gotta stay away from roller coasters, music, but even children. Wait, what? If you look at the roller coasters closely, you'll see that there's skeleton remains. Well, that ride sucks. Beware of the carnival music. It will lead you to a dangerous entity that looks like a killer clown with superhuman speed. What would happen if he catches you? He tortures you in front of a live audience until your eyes turn black and you feel nothing. After, you become part of the live audience. What about the children?
What the heck? Stay with them clowns, man.
Don't do this TikTok trend. Wait, why? So it started in Japan. Kids would write a phrase on their wrist, F74. When they fell asleep, they would dream of a parallel dimension. Wait, low key? No, seriously. No, I don't believe it. I want to try, okay? No, you actually don't. Why? Don't. Because if you don't escape, you don't wake up. Well, how do you escape? So, you're only given 10 hours to find the door with F74 on 10 hours? I could do it in 2, bro. I'm a speed runner. Dream.
I don't care if that sounds fake or cap or not.
I have an update on the serial killer who is on the loose right now in California. If you missed my previous videos, essentially there's a serial killer who is on the loose right now in Stockton, California. Currently he has been confirmed to take the lives of 6 people, but it's believed that he's actually linked to a couple of other murders. Most recently though, the Stockton killer actually attempted to kill somebody, but they got away. Her name was Natasha Latour, and she lived in a tent in Stockton, California. The 46-year-old said she was asleep in her tent when she was awoken to the sound of gravel crunching around her tent. She then walked out of her tent where she was greeted by the Stockton killer wearing all black and a black mask holding a gun pointing at her. Natasha then had a fight or flight response where she sprinted towards the killer to try to rush him. On her way towards the killer would duck down and shoot her 9 to 10 times. The train then began to pass by, and Natasha actually found a way to escape. She was trudging along the streets of Stockton where she eventually collapsed in the middle of the road. Thankfully though, a couple came by and were able to take her to a hospital. She then recovered from her wounds, but unfortunately she didn't have much information about the killer or his face. Can't really blame her, obviously there's a lot of adrenaline in a moment like that. But I can't help but feel like we're getting closer to finding out who this killer is. And look, as I find more information, I'll make sure to let you guys know, but...
Sounds like a crazy story, bro. She survived that too? Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker, seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video, comment down below, hit that post notification bells. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.